All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Anacostan and Piscataway peoples who have stewarded this land for generations long before the founding of the United States. It's important that we take a moment to honor their sovereignty, their resilience, and their ongoing struggles for justice. Any conversation about repair in this country must recognize that the harms of slavery and anti-Black racism are intertwined with the theft of indigenous land and the suppression of Native nations. As we approach America's 250th anniversary, we find ourselves at a defining generational moment. We are living through an unprecedented assault on Black people. This administration is pushing out Black workers, disenfranchising and silencing Black voters, further threatening the lives of Black mamas with a growing Black maternal morbidity crisis, undermining and rolling back Black progress and Black power, and might I add, weaponizing a Department of Justice against Black leadership. They are not just trying to take us back to Jim Crow. They are trying to take us even further back to pre-Reconstruction at a time when our basic humanity was denied. So we must be clear. The next 250 years cannot look like the last. The next 250 years must be about repair. The inequities we face today are not accidental. They are the direct result of this nation's original systems designed to exclude, to exploit, and to harm Black people from the very beginning. And every single day, those systems continue to do damage. We see it in unequal housing. We see it in underfunded schools. We see it in denied health care and widening health disparities. We see it in the barriers that prevent families from building generational wealth and achieving financial stability. This harm is not incidental. It is man-made. It is manufactured. It is legislated. It is codified in budgets. It is intentional.
Right there.
And in that the harm has been intentional, we demand a response that is just as intentional. Now, of course, true justice would mean that these inequities never existed in the first place, that our communities were never marginalized, never targeted, never stolen, never left behind, but we are here. And so we must work towards repair. This means reparative justice, like advancing H.R. 40 to develop reparations proposals. And as the lead House sponsor, I commit to advancing this bill alongside my movement siblings in the broader work for repair, truth, and healing. But let me be clear. This is not a movement or an appeal for benevolence or charity. This is a movement to demand redress, to right wrongs, to compensate for the harm and loss that we have experienced. And there are evidence of this government already having done this. Whether you're talking about the GI Bill, where Black veterans, however, were 1 million of Black veterans were denied access to that. Whether you're talking about Americans that were victimized in the building of the nuclear bomb. Whether you're talking about coal miners and Black lung. We have done work as a government in redress and repair where harm and injury has occurred. Right. We have done this as a government. Right. We just simply have not done it for Black Americans. And that is why we are fighting for comprehensive reparative justice legislation that provides real wraparound support for our communities and begins to deliberately close the gaps that were deliberately created. So we call on Congress to act to meet this moment with the urgency it demands, to help build a future grounded not in denials, but in repair, in redress. The next 250 years cannot look like the last. That proof begins with the courage to finally reckon with the first. So again, I thank you all for being here, and now I will turn it over to my sister, someone who I am very excited will now be joining the Judiciary Committee. Honoring, though she didn't need that committee to speak truth to power or to seek justice, she does that every single day. But I'm so proud. I know she will righteously honor the longstanding tradition of the Black women who have served on that committee previously. So I bring to you my sister, Congresswoman Summer Lee. We're both representing those Commonwealths, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's right. And both the first Black women to represent our Commonwealths. My sister, Summer Lee.
You know. I was ready. Yay. Thank you all so much. And thank you all. So I just want to first thank our fierce advocates who have come from all over this country, who have been working on this diligently, persistently, and fearlessly, doing serious work. Because I know that sometimes the attacks that we get against us, people pretend that our work is not incredibly serious, but we all know it is, and that's why we're in it. I am Summer Lee, and I represent Pennsylvania's 12th Congressional District, and of course, proud to stand here alongside my sister rep from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in this work. The federal government has time and time again kept its knee on Black Americans and then told us that we need to then pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. For over 400 years, I recognize that this is the 250th anniversary, but we've been here. Over 400 years, this country has stolen Black labor, Black lives, and Black futures. And at every stage, our government has sanctioned it. From slavery to Jim Crow, to redlining, to mass incarceration, to environmental racism, and to economic disenfranchisement. We're still living through those effects today. Attacks on voting rights and representation and Black health and Black wealth and so much more are not only a ghost from a long ago past, but they are very present and ongoing legacy. We see how easily centuries of progress and struggle are undone with a stroke of a pen. The president was able to say that diversity, equity, and inclusion shouldn't be implemented in our institutions. The courts are diminishing Black political power. Black women face insurmountable levels of unemployment and unsafety in childbirth. Black lives and Black futures are and always have been obstructed by white supremacy. As a descendant of my enslaved ancestors, I'm deeply humbled to be the lead sponsor of the Reparations Now resolution. Black folks are owed more than thoughts and prayers or see you laters. We're owed restitution and justice to repair the government-sanctioned harm that has plagued our communities for generations. Congress won't even pass a bill like H.R. 40 to study reparations for Black Americans, but the president will push for billions in taxpayer dollars to violent insurrectionists. This country values white rage more than it values Black life and Black success. We deserve a government that protects civil rights instead of rolling them back. We deserve policies that create opportunity instead of deepening inequity. We deserve technology and labor and housing and economic policies that work for Black communities as well as it works for each and every other community. And I will do everything in my power to ensure our communities are no longer living in the Reconstruction era. We can and we will have justice, have jobs, have health care, and have housing that actually meets our needs. Because when Black communities thrive, everybody thrives. Everybody thrives. A country that is fair enough, affordable enough, and just enough for Black families is a country that works better for all working people across the board. So right now we are calling not for something special for Black folks. We're not calling for handouts for black folks. We're calling for a country that values itself enough to recognize that success in the black community, that reparation in the black community is the only way that our country will exist for another 250 years. Is the only way that our country will know its real calling, a more perfect union for all, and that our democracy will survive. So I thank you all so much, and I'm going to hand it back over.
She's not here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I was going to hand it back to you.
Yes, okay. All right, thank you, sis. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Okay, now we'll hear from Dreesen Heath from the Why We Can't Wait Reparations Network. And again, I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you for being my partners. As I always say, thank you for being my teachers. Okay, thank you for leading us.
Thank you.
Come on, Dreesen.
Hey.
Congresswoman Pressley, thank you. Thank you so much. You've chosen to carry work that is difficult, life-altering, and overdue. Reparations is spiritual work. It's the work of resurrection. And in the darkest of times, you've refused to put it down, and are a light we can come back to. So thank you. Thank you to my family here, my comrades. Reparations asks us to tell the truth and look directly at what has been done and is being done to us. Our stolen bodies, our stolen land, our stolen property, our stolen names, our stolen futures. These harms must be accounted for and undone, and we must make ourselves whole. We are here to settle a debt, not because we created this debt, but because we've always been the currency. And it is time to get paid and restored in every way necessary. That debt didn't stop accumulating. It's accumulating right now. And we are here on the side of this Capitol that our ancestors built to say the next 250 years will not look like the last.
That's right.
Because we've kept the receipts.
Yeah.
On the other side of reparations, we properly bury our loved ones. We hold their hands in the final hours without choosing between end-of-life care and a car payment. Our graves are protected. Our ancestors rest undisturbed. On the other side of reparations, we pass abundance down. Trust, accounts, inheritance, businesses, without a probate system designed to extract it back. On the other side of reparations, Black birthing people survive at childbirth at the same rate as everyone else because their pain is finally believed, because they have access to the preventative care they have always deserved. On the other side of reparations, Black families thrive. They are not torn apart by the carceral system or the child welfare system designed to punish them. On the other side of reparations, our veterans are whole. Free health care, free education, free housing, free mental health support for their dual sacrifice to this country, still debating their worth. On the other side of reparations, our votes are not bloodied, suppressed, diluted, or gerrymandered into silence.
Right.
On the other side of reparations, a Black child's zip code does not determine their mind's formation, whether they eat or sleep, whether they die by suicide or are killed by state violence.
Hello.
Black children will play.
Yeah.
Black children will dream.
Yeah.
Black children will just be.
Yeah.
And on the other side of reparations, our kinship is restored. Our trauma no longer a spectacle. Our artifacts are in our hands. Our bodies are not weathered, but rather rooted, planted in the land that we've tended to for generations. That is the world we are building. That is what repair looks like, and that is why we are here. So reparations win?
Now!
Reparations win?
Now!
Reparations win?
Now!
All right. All right. Is Reverend Mark here?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now we'll hear from Richard Brookshire, speaking of what our veterans are due from the Black Veterans Project.
Hello. I'll be brief. Nearly a century ago, Black veterans sought victory over the dual evils of fascism and racism. Their war has still not been won. We stand on the front lines of a nadir of our nation's semi-quincentennial, a deconstruction of our very democracy that aims to drag us backward and render our wounds invisible. We must draw on ancestral wisdom, strength, and courage to defend against the forces that would rob us of liberty, justice, and the inheritance that we are owed. Reparations can bring forward a great reimagining and renew our nation's sacred promise. A double victory should be our North Star. Repair is possible and it should be prioritized. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Our inheritance. All right, and now Latasha Brown from Black Voters Matter. Our next two speakers, depending on when Reverend Mark gets here, I'm telling you, I must quote Latasha Brown every day, and Brittany Packnett Cunningham. You know, so I'm looking forward to hearing from both of them. All right. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. I wanted to start in the spirit of the ancestors that not too far from here, that on this ground on the Capitol, the same Capitol that this administration has created a slush fund that they want to pay those that sought to destroy it. But those that actually built it, that were my ancestors, never got paid. And so since we talking about getting paid, because I'm from the South, and even where I grew up, 30 minutes from where I grew up, that is where my great-great-great-grandmother was purchased. And so as a direct descendant, that I can trace my lineage back to slavery, I stand here saying that here it is, that we are also talking about reparations as it's something new. It's nothing new. Matter of fact, my grandmother used to tell me that anytime that someone owes you a bill, keep your paperwork. You need receipts. And so today I came to bring receipts so we can kind of talk about it. Right here in this city, over 300 people were paid, the enslavers, not the slaves, that paid $300 a piece. Now, almost $1 million were given out to enslaved, and this is in the 1860s, that were given to those who literally supposedly lost their property. Let me tell you about what their property do. When I think about in 1860, 4 million enslaved black people were valued at more than $3 billion. Every railroad, that was more than every railroad, every factory, every bank in this nation combined. Also, if you look at all of the land, if you want to put it in comparison with the bodies, I'm not talking about our labor, I'm talking about the bodies of enslaved people. That when you look at, if you accumulate, it was 20% of the economy, that you equate that now to every single real estate, including all of these buildings, all the skyscrapers. Next time you go by stadiums, when you go by private and public, all of that together, all the real estate in this country only makes 15% of the economy, which means that if we were 20% of the economy, we were more. Every time you see a skyscraper or some land, really understand that that was the value of what black bodies did in this country. When we're saying cotton picked by enslaved hands made up nearly 60% of all American exports. Our bodies were taxed by this government, taxed on enslaved people, were the financial backbone of the southern state governments. Even the federal government taxed our bodies as property, and the Constitution itself collected $10 a head at the port. Our bodies were mortgaged. Banks took enslaved people as loan collateral. J.P. Morgan Chase has admitted its predecessor banks held 13,000 of our ancestors at collateral and came to own over 1,200 human beings. What that means is that the success of white men, black bodies paid the price. But the failure of white men, black bodies also paid the price. That in 1862, the federal government paid enslavers in this city up to $300 per person to be free. One person alone actually collected on 800 slaves and collected more than $18,000. The enslaver, not those who had experienced the harm.
Receipts.
Those are receipts. Britain paid its slaveholders 20 million pounds and are still paying it. And actually we're still paying its slaveholders up until 2015. Imagine that. So I say that that in this moment, when we're talking about reparations, it's not like reparations have not been paid, but this country had the audacity to pay reparations to the former owners of the enslaved, quote, owners. Our bodies, not just our labor, paid for this country and literally were the economic foundation of this country, but actually our bodies. They were leveraged, they were mortgaged. That when you think about that we, not just in what we put in the ground, but and when there were the failures of those that took a bet on their, and literally would mortgage it 3 and 4 times, that ultimately what would wind up happening, our families were torn up. Yes. That we had to pay for their success, and we also had to pay for their failures. With that, I will say that in this moment, as we are celebrating the 250th anniversary of this nation, let's tell the truth. Yeah. Let's tell the truth, and let's stand on. When we're saying who is really old in this country, we stand alongside our Native American brothers and sisters and every single person who has been taken advantage of, who has been exploited. But we certainly, as black people in this country who are descendants, direct descendants of those who were enslaved, we stand, we will not forget, we will never forget. Right. We're standing in this space because we got receipts.
Yes. Right. All right. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's, I'm telling you, whenever I'm together with these folks, this is like equal parts revival, rally, call to action, and always, and it is divine. Yes. It is divine. Yes. Always spiritual and always the truth. Now we'll bring to the podium Brittany Packnett-Cunningham, representing the Children's Defense Fund.
Teach the baby.
Bring it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to start where my work begins. At the Children's Defense Fund, our mission is simple to say and hard to do. We build community so that every child can grow up with dignity, hope, and joy. Every child. Not some children, not children who happen to be born on the right side of a red line, every child. And I'm here this morning because you cannot talk about dignity, hope, and joy for black children in America without telling the truth about what was taken from them, from their parents, from their grandparents, from 400 years of mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles who built the wealth of this nation and were never allowed to hold a single dime of it. So let's tell the truth. We do not have a money problem in America. Marian Wright Edelman said that, and she was absolutely correct. We do not have a money problem. We have a values problem. We have a priorities problem. The money is here. It's always been here. We found it for everybody and everything else. We just keep deciding over and over again not to do right by the people whose country, who had this country built on their backs. Congresswoman Pressley's bill says decide differently. H.R. 40 says it's time to study the wound so we can finally heal it. H.R. 40 says America can no longer demand that we raise whole children in a broken land and a country that refuses to repair itself. And understand, this is not ancient history. This is not a story just about who this country used to be. I want to thank NBJC for convening us during this Equity Week, because that's exactly what this is about. Equity and repair. Right. Putting those two things at the center of everything that we do instead of pushing that and us to the margins. Because the same nation that will not repair the harm is the same nation that is now trying to erase the record of its harms. They are banning the books. They are gutting the programs. They are dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then bragging about it on Truth Social. At CDF, we believe that the freedom to read is a form of reparative justice. We know what it means to be a black child and open a book and finally see yourself on the page. We don't take it lightly when these bans keep coming, and they keep coming for our titles, our stories, and our collective history. Let me give you one. In Knox County, Tennessee, they pulled Roots off the shelves. Roots, in the very region where Alex Haley owned his farm, and CDF owns that land now. On the 50th anniversary of Roots, they're still afraid of it. Now they want that ban back, but hear me, you don't get credit for putting out a fire that you set on purpose. This is what we're seeing in our work every single day at the intersection of racial justice and child well-being. That intersection is the whole reason why the Children's Defense Fund exists. We were built, in the words of our president, Reverend Dr. Starsky Wilson, to be the national child advocate that works right at that crossroads, where the future of a child meets the history of a people. So when you ask why CDF is standing here at this microphone demanding reparations now, that is why. This is who we are. And I want you to know this is not just theory for us, because we've seen what repair does. Because of the work of our collective in New York, young people aging out of foster care are some of the most vulnerable children in this country, and then forgets about those children. Those children have received $1,000 a month with no strings attached. And after 1 year, 95% of them told us they finally felt some control over their lives. The ability to plan a future instead of just survive the day. That's what money in people's hands does. That's what repair looks like, and it's proven. Now imagine that at the scale of an entire people. That is the promise of reparations. The economic violence that started in slavery did not end with slavery. It compounds. It shows up in the neighborhood that isn't safe, in the health outcome that comes too early, in the school that doesn't have enough, in the child care that a family cannot afford. Less money, generation after generation, robs black children of their health, their safety, their education, their future, and their joy. Reparations is how a nation finally pays a debt it has been running for well over 250 years. So here's my charge to us this morning. We have a window before Juneteenth, before the 4th of July and America throws itself a birthday party it doesn't deserve. A season this country loves to call freedom. Let us not flinch. Let us not soften it. Let us not fumble. Let us connect the dots out loud between our human rights and our civil rights and our rights to repair. This is America's chance to begin again, to go back to the roots and right a historic wrong. The children are counting on us, and everybody here, we do not intend to let them down. So I ask Congress, why are you? Thank you. God bless you. Let's go get free.
Thank you. All right.
With the receipt.
My goodness. That's right. Black childhood should be a right and not a privilege. Black boy joy should be a rite of passage. Our children deserve to be celebrated, not criminalized. Celebrated, not tolerated. So grateful for you, Brittany. And now we'll hear from someone who is daily a master class in truth-telling, and that is the great Al Green, who we owe for so much. I want to tell you, he thought he was going to come here and not speak.
Where they do that at?
We need you to be the period on this sentence.
I know that's right.
Okay, Congressman Al Green.
Thank you, Representative Pressley. I especially thank you for your wisdom, for your foresight, for your insight, and for your courage. Others see what you see, but they don't have the courage to say what you say. And because you have this courage, we should give you a very special expression of appreciation for bringing us together today. Would you kindly join me, please? I was hoping it would be a bigger expression than that. Let's hear it from... Thank you. I will be terse. Friends, truth be told, we're here because of a seminal moment in time. There are seminal moments in time. These are moments that impact the rest of time. August 16th, 1619 was such a moment, because this is when the White Lion docked at a place called Point Comfort, and it had some 20 plus persons of African ancestry who were placed into slavery in the colonies that would become the United States of America. And from that day to this, that moment in time has had an impact on this country. That moment in time caused people to suffer for more than 240 years of enslavement. That moment in time caused women to be raped. It caused men to be kidnapped and brought from their homes. It did dastardly things to people of color of African ancestry. These persons who suffered, these are the persons that built roads and bridges. They planted seeds, harvested the crops, had a hand in building the Capitol, a hand in building the White House. They were truly the economic foundational mothers and fathers of the country. The economic foundational mothers and fathers of the country, and they have not been properly respected for what they have done to make this country what it is today. I'm here today to demand respect for the enslaved who were sacrificed to make America the country it is. I'm also here to tell you about one piece of legislation. That piece of legislation is H.R. 166. It will help us with our restorative justice. H.R. 166 will do for us what should have been done many years ago, decades ago, centuries ago, and that is allow us to acquire the bootstraps that we need to participate in the economic order just as everybody else does. H.R. 166 is a piece of legislation that makes it a crime to discriminate in lending. Currently, if the bank finds that you have defrauded it, the bank can have you prosecuted and you can be fined up to $1 million. H.R. 166 would make it a crime for the bank to deny you a loan that you are qualified to receive. If you receive that loan, you can get your home. You can pay for the car that you would like to have. These are pieces of legislation that have been presented today and what I'm calling to your attention that can make a difference in our lives. The truth be told, we have been denied access to capital, and the empirical evidence is there to show it. The Honorable Representative Pressley and I serve on financial services together, and on that committee, under the leadership of the Honorable Maxine Waters, we have been able to pass H.R. 166 in the House of Representatives. And I want you to know this. There is the proof, the empirical evidence that people of color are still discriminated when they go in to get loans. They will pay more for loans, they will get less money, and they will have terms that are more onerous. We want to make sure that the playing field is level when you walk into that bank, that lending institution, so that you can acquire the bootstraps necessary for you to make your way in the economic orders just as other people are making their way. This is our moment in time. This is legislation that we must pass. Finally, I just want to hand this out, Madam, if I may. This piece, if you'll pass these out, this is for Slavery Remembrance Day, but remembrance is not enough. But we are having a Slavery Remembrance Day event right here on the Capitol on August the 15th. It will be in the auditorium. Everyone is invited to come, and we will have more discussions about these things and other things associated with what we do. Remember, Remembrance Day is not enough. We have to have reparations. And I have a piece of legislation that calls for a Department of Reconciliation. But there can be no reconciliation without reparative justice. And there can be no reparations without reparative justice. And to have reparative justice, you've got to have the thing that we call what? Truth? No, the money. Money. You got to have the money. Compensation. Yes. Reparative compensation. You got to have reparations. You got to have money. Look, if money can solve the problems for everybody else, it can solve some of our problems. And anybody who doesn't want the reparations, it's okay with me. I will take your portion. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's the conscious agenda. All right. Thank you.
We're so grateful. Let me just say. Truly, so many of us stand on your shoulders, Congressman Green, and you have fought unapologetically and righteously for black people, whether it's Juneteenth, Equity Week, whatever it is. You do it every single day. You don't need any prompt. You just wake up every day motivated to fight for freedom, and we're so grateful for you. So can we give it up to Congressman Green? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess, y'all, we said it all.
We did.
I have no questions. Okay. Reparations now. Reparations now. Reparations now. Okay. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.